Catch First and 12 Sundays from 10 to noon on The Zone is brought to you by Macy's Grocery Store. Get the freshest fruits and vegetables from local farms and your favorite local brands. Macy's, happy shopping. Frank Dolce joining us momentarily here to talk Ute football. The Utes headed off to UCF. Big Fox Friday because it's contracted and
There's another reason why you should have the rivalry game at the end because then you can always have Thanksgiving at home.
Yes.
You just get on the bus and drive down the next day.
And the rivalry games always seem to be interesting. This game, a little short on the interesting meter. Not that interesting.
Making the Utes fly across the country. And Corinne Reed told us they got to meet 6:30 a.m. Thanksgiving morning.
Yay.
That's so stupid.
It's horrific. It's like, oh, man.
No one's into this.
Well, we signed up for it. Here we go.
Yeah. You got an opportunity to guarantee two fan bases or two players, groups of teams can be home for Thanksgiving every year.
Mm-hmm. Perfect.
Yeah.
That's why they call it rivalry weekend.
Even if you play it Friday.
Don't outthink the room.
Yeah.
Here we are. Houston's got to fly up here. They could even schedule like non-league games. I mean, the ACC and SEC have figured it out. As long as you do an even number, it doesn't mess you up. USC Notre Dame messes you up.
Yeah, but who's going to want to do that? I mean, Georgia Tech is your big example. I get that.
South Carolina, Clemson, Kentucky, Louisville, Florida State. Yeah, those are their four.
Right, but that's been
Other
tradition.
People could do it. Yeah.
Well, that's a tradition.
Kentucky, Louisville wasn't. The other three were. But for the numbers' sake, they're like, you guys are doing this. But it's still, Kentucky and Louisville are like an hour and a half apart. I think, back to your point, all the ADs and the coaching staff, because it's not just the team that goes. You know, ADs usually go on the road.
Oh, yeah, they have to.
Right. Everybody's part of it is like, well, it's just an hour and a half, and that's not a horrible idea. Let's do it.
Right. I've spent several Thanksgivings away from my family for work.
And that was no fun, covering these college basketball tournaments. The Maui's underway, and all these games are close, and that's exciting. Yeah. But you're a long way from home.
Right. And it doesn't have to be.
No, it's a choice.
And you're going to get this every other year.
Great.
If I'm Kyle, it's in the best interest of the program that I step aside. At least every other year, Colorado was a skip and a jump.
Right.
In terms of a flight. You didn't have to leave at 6:30 in the morning.
For your 1 hour flight.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
I do know what you mean because I had to do that once. Yeah. Somebody thought it'd be a good idea to save $27 on a flight by putting us on a 6 a.m. flight to L.A., and so we landed in Burbank to cover a UCLA game back in the Mountain West era, and it's 9 o'clock, and we're at the Burbank airport, and we can't check in our hotel until like 4 o'clock.
Well, that's because you were just taught to go along. You don't like to raise a stink.
I really don't.
Right.
It's a lot of energy.
Whereas, no, it isn't. You just say, if I have to do that, I'm not going. And I make my own travel schedule.
Well, we drove to Santa Barbara and had lunch.
And you went along with it, so they got their way.
They got their way.
Right.
I got my way. I got a free trip to Santa Barbara.
So I think it's another reason why they should do that. And the big news, the Big 12 has fined ASU $25,000 for field storming.
Great. That'll stop it.
What's wrong with field storming? That is the most overrated worry we have in all of sports.
Ooh, overrated worries in sports.
Something's going to happen. You just wait. Something's going to happen. Then the next year, something's going to happen. You just wait. Something's going to happen. Then the next year. We keep hearing about it.
Well, just for the 20 years we're doing the show.
Something's going to happen. You just wait.
DJ PK, we're joined now by Frank Dolce. Frank, good morning.
Good morning, guys. What's happening?
Well, we went to a press conference Monday, and Kyle said about his future, I'll do what's in the best interest of the program. So there's that.
DJ thinks Kyle is gone Saturday. Press release.
Check your emails.
What? What? I don't know if that's true.
Well, DJ doesn't either. He's speculating.
I said the word I used was murky, because I thought after last week's press conference, it's like, that sounds like a guy who's coming back. And then this one, I thought, it sounds like a guy who's leaving. It's murky.
Oh, man. I will say that his demeanor on the sidelines looks different to me in the last few weeks. Like,
but I write that.
I mean, we've.
Yeah, but I write that
Go
off
ahead.
to a championship or bust mentality. His goal at this point in his career is not to get bowl eligible, and he's building something, and that's what it was at one time. But, man, they've been in 4 conference title games. It's like that's the place to be. And once you know you can't be there, that takes an edge away, doesn't it?
I think that's difficult to overcome for sure. And I keep going back and forth. I try to put myself in his shoes, and okay, if I've done all those things, I've been to a couple Rose Bowls, and have I accomplished enough? Am I going to be able to live with that walking away with this season? Or is my competitive spirit still so strong that walking away at this point would feel like a failure that I would have to live with? And if I'm going down with a fight. Like, you're going to have to pull me out of there kicking and screaming.
Right, but then suppose next year it doesn't turn out, and then when does it end?
Yeah, but that's when he's kicking and screaming. I mean, I feel like if I look back across just my brief playing career, I remember all of the wins and the good stuff, but the bad stuff hurts more. Like, those are the harder things to overcome. And so I fall back on, like, if I had a chance to go back and try and correct or get a win when I didn't have one previously, then I would take that chance to do that.
Yeah, but he's talking about what's in the best interest of the program. I think that's a selfless statement. I don't think he's talking about himself and his competitive spirit or any of that.
I don't think you can necessarily separate the two.
He's trying to.
I hear you, but that would be really difficult to separate his competitiveness with what's the best for the program, especially if he believes that he's the best for the program.
Right.
That's a hard thing to get to. Like, after all that he's accomplished and, all that he believes about himself, then to say, well, yeah, I guess I'm not the best for the program. I mean,
well,
I'm not saying he couldn't get there, and I'm not saying people don't get there, and it's probably an evolution for people to get to that point. But
Nick Saban did it.
At this point, I don't know. I'm undecided.
But the whole Nick Saban thing that I got to the point I either had to lie to the recruits or we had to lose a lot of recruits.
That's where it boils down to the best interest.
Right. The thing about the one kid who flipped to SC, I mean, one kid can flip over a million reasons, including NIL. But what we don't know, and this is where that could be the right path, is if he's got multiple assistants coming back, I'm recruiting these 2 kids, and I thought we had them, but now we're losing them, and I know they're getting negative recruiting, they want to know what you're doing. Somebody's chirping in their ear, whatever school in the conference they're recruiting against or in the area where the kid is from they're recruiting against. They're chirping. If he's hearing that about 10 kids, that's a big issue. 1 kid, But if it's a trend, that would be important. And Nick Saban got to the point where he realized it was a trend.
Well, I think they lost 2 kids, actually.
Okay. Maybe that is a sign it's a trend.
But yeah, I think what they're trying to do with Morgan Scalley is to alleviate some of that concern. It's like, hey, we have a succession plan in place, and here's everything that he's accomplished, and so there's going to be continuity in the program. And I don't know how that message sells, but I think it's a pretty good message to go out and to recruit. Nick Saban got out at the right time, clearly. And I would put Coach Whittingham in the same mold as Nick Saban. Like everything that college football has become does not align with everything that Nick Saban or that Kyle Whittingham built, and that's the very hard thing to overcome for both of those guys. And I don't think they can change. I don't necessarily think they can change. I'm not saying they couldn't be successful, but I don't think they can really change who they are. And so I will say this is of all of the rumors going around in all the past years about Coach Whittingham and him stepping down, this year seems like the most likely, the most realistic for that to occur.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And then if it's not this year, then it's next year, and if it's not next year, it's the year after.
How many years are we going to do this?
You know what?
I don't think we'll do it more
You're
than one.
exactly right. That's exactly right. I could see him. I could see him stepping down. I just don't know how this season is going to weigh on him. Like, that's heavy. That's a heavy season.
Yeah, I think you can just look at if we had our guy, man. We were 4-0, and then things fell apart. And I realized he didn't play in 2 of the 4, but
yeah, but he's played 5 quarterbacks.
Yeah,
I mean, he already looks at it like that to some degree. I mean, there's other stuff going on.
And the other thing is, I could also see him saying, "I'm going to give it one more year and make it his final, the retirement tour."
He won't do that.
This is my final year.
He won't announce it in August. There's no way. He wants no attention.
I know he won't announce it, but I'm just saying internally, like he would take that season to prep himself for, okay, this is the end. This is my last go around. I don't know if he's done that this year, and maybe he has, but
well, if it's not this year, it's next year. I'm pretty confident in that.
Would you put it at more than 60% that he stays this year, or less?
Right now, and DJ can vouch for this, I don't want to give up too much, but I came in on Monday and said my thought process has changed a little bit, and I'm going 60-40 done, where it had been reversed. And
it had been 60-40. He was going to stay literally a week earlier. We've been talking about this pretty much every day or every other day for 2 weeks as we hear different things, and Kyle says different things in public formats. You can't miss it.
And then if he comes back, which he very well could be, because he literally has not told me I am done this year, I want to make sure that's abundantly clear. I'm not reporting anything. I'm speaking on opinion. And if it's not now, then I would go probably 85% next year.
Okay, let me ask you this question. Does a win or loss on Friday do anything to that?
I don't think so.
To your prediction? It stays the same?
Yeah. I mean,
okay,
you
let
got
me
a
ask you.
fifth-stream walk-on quarterback. Good luck with that.
Hey, Batari, the Ferrari. I'm being completely honest. Batari looked as efficient as any quarterback that's played this year in his short time in the game last weekend. So I might have. I mean, he missed some throws, but that's just lack of reps. But I might have a little faith in Batari going into this weekend.
Cool. I hope they
okay,
win.
let me ask you this question. If the final gun sounds at UCF and Coach Whittingham walks off the field and Utah is not successful and someone says to him, you have to tell me right now, are you in or are you out? What does he do?
That'd be Mark Harland. I mean, who else could tell him that? His wife?
Yeah, there you go.
That'd be the only 2 people, I think.
Mark might say his wife won, me too.
I think at that point, he's got a pretty good idea. It did
Okay.
sound on his Monday press conference.
Like he had a pretty good idea right then.
It did
and
to
he
me,
just
yeah.
didn't want to say anything with a game to go.
Right. I'd agree with that 100%.
Okay, so what if he comes away from UCF, they have a nice win, and he gets a month off, and he spends a few weeks
I don't think it's
in
going to
Hawaii
I think your weekend timeline was better. I don't think the month.
on the beach?
I don't think they have
You don't
that
think
time.
the month changes his mind?
No, I don't think because
you're wrong.
they've got to hire a coordinator,
Hire a
They got a
coordinator,
recruiting class,
the transfer portal.
which is part of the
right, yeah,
recruiting class.
it is. It's 50-50 now, he said.
Yeah,
I think some time off maybe changes his perspective.
but I don't know that the circumstances allow for time off.
Yeah. Well, maybe time
right
away.
now, anyway.
You're not preparing for a game.
Take the weekend, come in on Monday, say what you're going to do.
They've got to go here.
They got to go. There's a lot to be accomplished.
They got a lot, and they got to figure out who's leaving, who's coming back.
The one thing he could do, and we've seen this happen with multiple coaches and with Randy Ray locally, he could say, I'm back, baby. And like in April, February, June, pick some off-season month, either before or after spring ball, which, by the way, he thinks is going away. He did say that in his press conference. And just say, I really don't have it. I don't have it. It's time to get going and get after it. I don't have it. Morgan, you're up. I mean, that could happen. Yeah, Randy Ray did it.
Yeah. I don't think that's super unlikely.
I think it would be more, I don't want it, rather than he'll have it. He'll have it till the day he croaks.
Okay, if you want to tweak it to the day he croaks.
Okay, so that's the thing.
Frog?
That's the thing, is that that desire to win football games and to succeed is very difficult to get over.
It is, but I'm going to face this situation some point in my own life, right? And I'm not unique in that way. I'm not unique in any way, for that matter. But it is going to be, okay, I really love doing this. This is a kick. I've been doing it for almost 23 years, and it's still just as fun. I was down in Phoenix last week talking with my sister. She says, you still love it? Yep. Well, keep right at it. But you're going to have to balance. I mean, I really love this, but I know I'm running out of time, and I want to do this, this, and this. And this job gets in the way of doing this, this, and this. So if you really love your job, which I'm fortunate, the answer is yes, 100%. Then you'll always have that. This job will never suck.
But it'll be a time not to do it.
Right, because I want to do other stuff. I think that's the issue with him. Not has he lost his passion and his desire and his competitive spirit. He's a Whittingham. He turned 65 last Thursday. That meant he's had that competitive spirit for 65 friggin' years and 5 days. They never lose it. That's who they are. But he'll want to do other stuff with his life. I think that's the issue. And only he can answer that.
And I did feel like that. I felt like at that press conference, Frank, it felt like maybe that internal debate that he's been having with himself, for 5 or 10 years, trying to figure out, hey, one day this is going to come, and how am I going to handle it? Watching other coaches handle it, and how does that inform him, right? But did the timeline get sped up? Not because 1 or 2 or 3 kids are questioning it, but because 10, 15, or 20 are. And
right,
so
and that's what's in the best interest of the program. That's what he was talking about.
Right, exactly. And then is that the issue? I mean, there's some other things. He could, how tight is money? Him leaving could free up some money, right? Morgan won't make as much as he makes. Presumably the next DC won't make what Morgan is making as DC. That seems shorter term. It could be in the best interest of the program, but shorter term, I don't know if he'd make a big decision based on that. Does the new OC coming in want to work for one or the other and not like the plan that they've laid out? I don't know. I mean, I've been brainstorming. What is Kyle getting at?
There's a lot. There's a lot to do. I guess one of the things that we haven't talked about too much is making his own decision. I doubt that he wants to be in a situation where someone is saying, hey, it's time for you to go.
Right. And he also
and then that and they have to manage that.
And he wants to leave in a good position. Lavelle wanted BYU to keep winning when Lavelle stepped down because he invested so much in a program. Kyle has invested so much in a program. He wants Utah to keep winning. He wants Morgan to be successful. So the best interest of the program thing, that's what he's saying. I want Utah to win, and I want Morgan to win. And if I step away, if I alter my timeline a little bit, but it has a big impact over here, I do it. That's the thing when PK says selfless.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Maybe we're reading it all the wrong way. And maybe he's saying, I'm going to do what's in the best interest of the program. In the back of his mind, he's saying, I'm the person that's in the best interest of the program.
Sure. Yeah. Could be.
But I don't know. I don't know how much conviction I have in saying that, because I have watched him wandering around the sidelines with a funny look on his face several times this year. And that is also difficult to overcome and manage.
Well, I think I know what you're talking about, and I think I've seen that look more the last 2 or 3 games. But the conference title game has been out of reach. The conference title game has been out of reach.
Yeah.
And he's got a new OC. He's got an interim OC. He's clearly going in a different direction then. So I've chalked that up to that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right, Frank. We knocked it around. I don't think we solved anything, which is fine because Kyle could change his mind in either direction tomorrow anyway. So
we stalled. We didn't accomplish anything. It was nice to talk to you guys. I mean, it was a fun discussion, but we didn't answer a single question. So I'll just leave it with this: does Utah pick up a win this weekend?
Yeah, in a weird way, I think they do finally. They emptied a bag of trick plays. Have the quarterback fake an injury, run somebody in there, whoever wins the contest for throwing the ball the farthest, and just chuck it deep to Dorian Singer. I want to see the quarterback rolling around on the ground like he's a soccer player trying to get a red card on somebody even though he didn't get kicked. Yeah, sure.
Yes, yeah.
Trick plays, whatever you got.
At some point,
double passes, let her rip.
At some point, we're going to have to do a debrief on this season because this has been nuts. Yeah. Anyway.
Thank you, Frank.
Anyway, hey, you guys have a happy Thanksgiving. It's always great to talk to you.
Thanks, Frank. DJ PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. When we come back, we're giving away Jazz tickets. The Dallas Mavericks are going to be here on Saturday. We got a pair of tickets to give away right after the break, and then again at 9:30, and then every hour, every show all day long on the half hour, your chance to win on a Utah Jazz Ticket Tuesday here on The Zone.
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson.
I think you can miss on a draft pick, or I think you can miss on an opportunity. What you can't recover from is the bad decision. And so as you're watching the Jazz build the team and use their resources, what they can't do is blow it. The Sixers have made so many awful decisions that there's no way they can be contenders. We're seeing it now because they've made bad decision after bad decision.
You never truly get away from the bad decisions you make, especially when you make long-term bad decisions. Drafting a guy and missing is not a bad decision. It's a whiff, but it's not a bad decision that you are saddled with for a long time.
So if you're looking at the Jazz building a team, it's interesting to pay attention to the good things going on, and maybe some things aren't turning out as well as others, but they have to avoid the bad move.
Hear Jake Scott and Ben Anderson every day from 10 to noon on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
Hot Takes or Toast is brought to you by Siegfried and Jensen with 30 years of serving Utah. DJ and PK, hey, we got Jazz tickets. Right now, caller 12-801-575-ZONE. Win a pair of tickets to watch the Jazz take on the Mavericks at the Delta Center on Saturday. 801-575-ZONE. Call right now. Kyle Whittingham says his future is tied to what's in the program's best interest. What's in the program's best interest? And Jordan says Kyle needs to stay one more year and try to get things fixed, or else go completely in a new direction. No way they should hand the reins over to Scally under the present circumstances.
Why not?
Jordan doesn't say why. I've read you every word. They're going to hand it over to Morgan.
Unless they buy him out, but
Yeah.
that's not the anticipation.
No. Moses, I would love to see Witt come back. But with the players the program is losing and the amount of players they have to bring in through the transfer portal to try and fill in gaps, I just don't know if next year would be a spectacular year. If he wants to go out on a really high note, I think it's more of a 2-year deal. I guess if he just wants to right the ship, then come back for 1 year, that could be enough. But is it worth it? Are they 2 years away?
I just don't think that has much to do with it.
Yeah.
It's what's in the best interest of the program right now. Because there's no guarantees. They were picked first this year, and they literally had the worst season he's ever had.
And why say you're 2 years away when look what Arizona State just did, going from 3
But
and 9?
you don't know if you are or you aren't.
You don't. There
There's
are plenty
not-
of teams that
yeah.
were bad that are bad again.
Oklahoma State was in the final last year, and they haven't won a conference game, and they only got one more shot. And they're going up against Colorado, and I don't like their chances.
There's a lot of volatile change. And is it the transfer portal or what? And the answer is it's the transfer portal or what? As you asked a week ago.
So much can happen, and then even if you do everything right, you can just have bad, dumb luck. A ball bounces another way, this way. A kid makes a bad play. Retzlaff overthrows
One
Lassiter.
pass. Yeah.
Lassiter thinks he scores if he catches that. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to doubt him. I don't know what would have happened, but he thinks so.
Yep.
And he
And
very well could have been right.
And conversely, the Cougars let a receiver run free in the third quarter, and they got a big play and a touchdown.
Right.
It was just brain lock.
Right.
Jay Hill needs a better scheme. Well, the scheme was not to let Johnny run down the field by himself and score a touchdown.
I think it was Xavion.
That who it was? I could not remember who it was.
Well, you only know Tyson. That's all you know. It was the other one. And so, yeah, those things happen. Come on. So there's no guarantee on any which way, this way, get the program right, blah, blah, blah. He said what he said, and he meant what he said, that this is something that he will decide if what's in the best interest of the program today, right now.
Kevin, I don't see him bailing a poor year. He'll come back next year to make things right. David, if I were him, and I'm not, I'd be out of there on December 1st, 2024. He has done many great things. He is 65. Go and enjoy life. Get away from the stress.
I like that.
What if he thrives on the stress? I think that's to the point you made with Frank in the last segment. He'll always like it, but there's time to go do something else. I don't know that he'll be fleeing stress when he leaves.
Well, what do you mean? Pressure, just the day-to-day minutia of the job? Well, yeah, he will.
No, but I don't know that he needs to. I realize he won't have it when he's off golfing wherever.
Okay, so you're saying he doesn't need to.
Right.
I thought you said he wouldn't.
No, he will, because he won't be making the decisions. He won't be sitting in the chair. He won't have to. But it's not because, I can't do this anymore. It's just, it's time. It's time.
Oh, yeah, he
it's
can
time
do
to
it.
turn the page. Yeah.
He can do it. I don't think there's any question about
And
that.
I think that was, and I think he was putting that part of it to bed. I can do it.
I think he can. Well,
And there's a part of him, that clearly wants to do it.
If he
he's going to do what's best for the program.
December 1st is Sunday, and he'll roll up his sleeves, metaphorically, and go to work on December 2nd.
Right.
And he'll be in the office doing what he's done, and away he goes. He won't miss a beat.
Michael says, honestly, he's a fantastic coach. They have an awful year with injuries, and I would like to see him come back. So that's what Michael wants.
And it very well could happen. If he thinks it's in the best interest of the program to do it, he'll do it. He won't lack for anything.
Jaden, I'm good either way. Thanks for so many good years.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to happen at some point, so you got to be good with it.
Yeah. And I'm with you. It doesn't seem like it's 2 years away now, does it? I mean, he doesn't want a farewell tour, but if he comes back for a year, it may feel like that.
Yeah, but there won't be any formal. They won't present
No,
a
I get
golf
that.
club.
He doesn't want the rocking chair at the 50-yard line on the logo.
That's not going to happen.
No. He wants the game to be about the game.
Right, yeah. But I've always felt that it was either this year or next year.
That is where we sit.
Yeah, that has been my opinion for probably 3 years.
This year or next year?
Mm-hmm.
And then a year later, you roll it forward this year or next year?
No.
You were always thinking that 2024, 2025 was that was the window.
Yeah.
He hit 65. Is it the year he turns 65 or the year he starts 65?
Yeah.
Mid-60s are a pretty common time for people to retire.
Just basic math, as you say, and just conversations here and there.
Yeah.
You know, sitting down, having a brew.
You love to do that.
Do what?
You know.
I didn't say the conversations with him. I just said conversations. Yeah, I'm old enough. It's legal.
Frank, it's time to retire and ride off into a sunset on a beach in Hawaii. That is a good plan.
And I know the exact beach.
The exact beach.
I do. Yeah. I know exactly. I know exactly where he goes. Yes. We've talked about it many times. And so, yeah, that'll happen. No, but he'll be around because he has that contract that he'll fulfill with
the ambassador.
Yeah.
Ombudsman. No,
Right.
that's more like when you're solving problems.
As an ombudsman?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's more of an ambassador. You're right. I think that's accurate. And he'll
He'll
be
go to
around.
games. He'll talk to boosters. He'll shake hands. Do a little fundraising. Be available for a phone call if somebody is saying, hey, we're thinking this or we're thinking that. Or, did you watch the game? What'd you think? Bounce stuff off of.
Yeah. Now, he'll be discreet on that stuff.
Sure.
You won't. He'll be off the radar. He's 1,000% being off the radar. He doesn't even really want to be on the radar. He just understands that's part of the job. The way he does the media stuff reminds me of Jerry Sloan. I have to do it. Let's not make it be a big issue. You ask me the questions. I'll give you the answers, and then we'll go. And then I'll get back to doing what I'm supposed to do, coach. I see a lot of similarities between those two guys.
I think you're right.
And Jerry understood it. He part of the gig.
And they're both great interviews.
Don't make it an issue.
Yeah.
Jerry never made it an issue. Kyle, in the beginning, was breathing a little fire. He got a little counsel, tone it down.
He had a chip on his shoulder.
And, he was ready to battle and conversations with some people. Hey, there's a story, and the story lasts. And if you say nice of you to show up and that type of thing, you make it a story. You make it a story beyond the story shelf life. There's very few stories that have big-time shelf lives. In sports, especially. There may be in real life, but in sports, not a whole lot of them. Are you talking about it 2-3 days later? And so don't make it. And he got that. He took that counsel to heart, and he ran with it as well as anybody I've ever seen. Some people are naturally born that way. Steve Cleveland, he didn't get interviewed much as a junior college coach and whatnot. He comes here, you would have thought he would have been interviewed 5,000 times. By the time he just naturally rode right into it, and as smooth as can be. Was so good at it, right? And so you got that. And Kalani he lives to talk. He loves talking with people. I mean, he's just a people person. I don't think he doesn't crave it. It's just his natural DNA to do it. All right, so you got all that. Kyle will be fine. He'll be off the radar doing what he does. Now, he wants to stay local because he loves to ski, and so he'll be here. And 3 of his 4 kids live here, which means grandkids live here. Extended family lives here, so he'll be in the community.
You'll see him at the grocery store.
The grocery store? That would require me to go to the grocery store.
Oh, well, you won't see him then. You see him getting gas at Costco.
Okay. There you go on that. Which is funny because I actually saw his son getting gas at Costco. Yeah.
Turns out people have to live their lives. And
I talked to him at that time. The one over by the Huntsman Cancer stuff on 53rd and State, right around there. So, yeah, right. But I like what he said in that I'm going to do what's best for the program. And he means it.
He said it like 3 times. When he sits in a press conference and he says something 3 times, that's like your Jerry Sloan comparison. Well, then they mean it.
Yeah, and I think that's good. If I'm a Ute fan, I like to hear that.
Yeah, they're not out there just yapping away.
I don't think he needs this job anymore. That's not it. And Frank was saying, oh, yeah, his, the competitive nature and all. The day he leaves, he'll have that. That's not going to go away.
He'll just take it out on a golf course.
But I don't think he needs that to survive. This is not his identity at all. This is his job, and he puts everything he has into it. But I don't think it's like, I'm a football coach, man. This is what I do. Not at this point in his life. Not at all. It's part of what he does, but it's not the unilateral thing that he does with no other stuff on the table. Absolutely not.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone.
Take the Zone with you wherever you go. Download the KSL Sports app to get live streaming of your favorite shows.
Downloading.
Download the latest podcasts and get all the latest breaking news on the teams you can't live without. Everything you need delivered right to your phone.
Let's go get them where we can get them.
Just search KSL Sports on your app store of choice. Download it now. The KSL Sports app, presented by University of Utah Health.
The Mr. Mac Utah County High School Player of the Week. We have co-winners, Aaron Dunn from Spanish Fork and Bot Mulatalo from Lone Peak. Dunn helped power the Duns in the trenches to their 57-55 loss in the 4A state championship game. They piled up 527 total yards on offense. He added 2 tackles on defense. Mulatalo tallied 3 tackles, a half sack, and an interception from his D-line spot in the Knights' 30-27 loss to Corner Canyon in the 6A title game. Utah County Player of the Week award, proudly presented by Mr. Mac. No one buys, no one sells, and no one cares the way they do. Absolutely no one. DJ and PK, got a lot of people here weighing in on multiple questions this morning, PK, but it seems like Kyle Whittingham overshadows all of them.
He usually does. He casts a long shadow.
Now I picture like NFL films, the pan across the ground, the sun low in the sky on the late autumn afternoon.
Especially, in the late autumn afternoon on the greens, you got to cast it. Everyone casts a long shadow.
You yell at me to get your shadow off the hole.
I know.
No matter how far I moved away, I had a 50-foot shadow. I couldn't do it.
Well, you don't want to be, your shadow doesn't want to be between the putter and the hole.
It's distracting. You can't read the grain, right?
Yeah. So Mac Brown gets run, is what we're hearing.
Yes, Mac Brown out at North Carolina. And after a 3-score loss to Boston College.
Yeah, they're 6-5 right now. They went 8-5 last year, 9-5 the year before, and won the Coastal.
Yep. And he took over a 2-win team. He's been there a while now. He's done 6 years here in his second stint.
2-9.
He was there before. That's how he got the Texas job with a couple of 10-win seasons. And he hasn't gotten back to 10 wins, but he hasn't had a losing season.
Except he has.
They haven't won. They did have a 6-7. My bad. Yeah.
In 2021. But he's 73 years old.
Still grinding. The 70s scream retirement to you.
Yeah.
Especially from a job like that. That's a hard job.
Yeah.
A lot of long days, a lot of travel.
He's not going to be there. That's the Nick Saban thing.
Mm-hmm.
They start wondering. That's where I think that Utah tried to get away from that, but you can't. You can't. The coach in waiting is a good theory, but you can't eliminate
it can only work
the confusion.
So far for so long. Okay, that's going to be the guy. Great, but as it bears down on you,
And then there'll be other changes, which is the future of the program is what Kyle is talking about. I know that's what he's talking about. It's obvious that's what he's talking about. And it is going to impact. There's just no other way. You can do whatever you want, but it does impact it. You can't help it.
That's why coaches get paid so much, because they're so important. They have such an impact all across the program in so many ways.
Right.
For better or for worse. From the guys who win, the guys who lose.
So this is going to be one of the, if he retires now, this is going to be one of the ultimate selfless acts we've seen.
Because he could ride it out for a while if he wanted.
He could come back, and no
Keep
one's going to
grinding.
bat an eyelash.
Right. Well, he's not in his 70s like Nick. 70. I think Nick was 72, but I don't know.
Nick, I think 71.
71. Okay.
Yeah.
Because right now he could be saying, "I'm definitely here for 4 years."
Easily.
Right. And people would still buy it if he said it.
Yeah, unless he has some health issues that don't seem to be there right now.
And enough people have coached to 70, you'd be like, "Oh, okay."
Oh, yeah. Right. Everything that he needs to continue to coach, he has. That's not an issue. But if he thinks that, hey, if I lose 3-4 guys, and then next year, 3-4 more guys, those guys can make a difference. I mean, he's the one who said recruiting is the lifeblood of the program. And recruiting now includes the transfers, the kids that are already in college. And in a lot of ways, that's more important.
Yeah, they're more likely to have the impact to make the quick turnaround and all that.
Right.
And he said 40, 45 new kids, probably split 50-50. So it's not that there's that many fewer high school recruits. If there are, it's 2, 3, 5 tops. Maybe you'd go from 20 to 15
But
with
I
high
think
school
fewer
kids.
freshmen, first-year freshmen are playing now because they're not needed.
You don't have to plug the guy in.
Right.
If you get a Spencer Fano, you can plug him in, but that's just because he's really good.
Sure,
but how many Spencer Fanos are you likely to get?
Yeah, he grades out as high as can be every freaking game. Right, yeah. And good for him. Yeah, he's the exception.
Right.
And he seems like he's a 3 and
You're starting 20. You're starting 22 guys, and you're probably playing 35 to 40
right
in a game, 60 or 70 over the course of a season as injuries, transfers pile up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So all that stuff, if that chips away at what you're trying to do, that's why if he comes out in the next week, which I think it would be, that would be.
It does seem fast. It doesn't seem like it'll linger.
No, I don't think so.
Monday at the latest.
The timing isn't right.
I know. Monday at the latest.
It doesn't work that way. And that would be the ultimate, I don't want to go too dramatic here, but I want sacrifice. I don't know if that's the right word. Just the ultimate putting something bigger than yourself when you're making the decision. If you were wondering about his commitment, that if he does that now, that to me, that's darn near as impressive as Sugar Bowls and Rose Bowls and everything else.
DJ PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. More Jazz tickets will be given away at 9:30. Stay tuned. You got a take you want to share right now, pick up your phone, use our app, use the open mic feature, send us your take on the future of the U program and any advice you have for Kyle as he makes an important life decision, because we're sure he'll welcome it. That's next. DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone.